Hello, and welcome back to the Food for Thought podcast. I'm your host, Erin Hallstrom. With me on the podcast today is Marlene Creighton, Chief Sales Officer at Hershey. We're talking about an exciting new program Hershey rolled out in October of last year. The company unveiled its Future CEO program, which brings together 10 young women and girls from around the globe for a day of learning and mentorship. In this episode, we touch on why this program is so important to Hershey and how it's helping to make an impact on the next generation. We discuss the importance of mentorship and reverse mentorship, not only for the girls involved in the program, but also for the company as well. Hershey, which was named Food Processing's 2022 Processor of the Year, is a household name for many American consumers, and Marlene walks us through how programs like Future CEO help the company better understand and listen to its consumers. We talk about Gen Z's importance to the brand before shifting to a discussion about diversity, equity, and inclusion at Hershey. We cap things off talking about why diversity and representation are so fundamentally important, not only to the company's hiring and recruitment, but also with its suppliers as well. But before you go, do you know an influential woman in the food industry? Nominations are now open for Food Processing's 2023 Influential Women in Food Awards. Click the link in the bio to learn more about this year's program. Enjoy the episode! Marlene, welcome to the Food for Thought podcast. I would love for you to explain the Future CEO program.
Erin, I would love to share this with you. I've got a ton of heart for what our company is going to go and do. We announced on October 11th to celebrate International Day of Girl Child, our Future CEO program. And what this program does is really bring together Hershey leaders, but with 10 young women and girls around the globe for a virtual day of learning. It's about mentorship, reverse mentorship, and how do we continue, right, to kind of make an impact on girls around the world to be that next CEO. We love our current CEO, Michelle Buck, who is phenomenal. And we continue to say is how do we get in front of things and help people to create even more of Michelle Buck?
Tell me, how did the concept for the Future CEO program get started?
Yeah, we have a lot of conversations around how do we make an impact on our next generation. And as we were talking, is we said, what can we continue to do with our programming, whether it's, diversity, equity, inclusion, and part of that being, gender equity. How do we work with some of our partners and continue to pay it forward? So we've partnered with Girl Up and Girls on the Run to bring this program to life. And I'd love to share a little bit, right, about kind of Girl Up and Girls on the Run, which are very near and dear to the company's heart and to me personally as well. So Girls on the Run is a non-for-profit that reaches girls at critical stages. And we all know grades 3rd through 8th, and I've got a daughter, so I've watched her do this. How do they bring these girls in and work with them against confidence? This is a time, right, with those grades where people come and, they get told no. And I think some girls think no is the right answer. And I think we continue to work with Girls on the Run so we can have a connection, both physical and emotional, around these girls. So no is not always the right answer. Additionally, a program like Girl Up, that's a global organization that focuses on girl skills, rights, opportunities to lead. Girl Up's a girl-centered leadership program around initiatives focusing on the equity of girls and women in spaces where they're unheard or underrepresented. So we've focused on these charities that we work very closely with, or it's a financial donation, but more importantly, our employees volunteer with these organizations, whether we're coaching, different 5K runs, whether we're part of 5K runs, or whether we're a part of mentoring. So we had partnered, right, with these two non-for-profits that are very close to us, talking about how can we go do things. We've got a legacy from our founder, Mr. Hershey, around caring for children. So there was no better way to say is, okay, how do we get together? with two great organizations, find a ton of heart, right, for young women. And then, we've got the best role model in the business, Michelle Buck. So how do we bring some of that to this group?
Talk to me more about why this kind of program is important for girls and young women.
Yeah, I reflect upon my own career and say that this mentorship program and reverse mentoring, it's good for all of us. But if I go back and look at my career, and so many conversations with others as well, is like I don't think we would be here if we didn't have mentors in our lives. And I think that there's so many mentors needed, whether it's role models within your own family, whether it's role models in the workplace, or even just on a personal basis. I think it's critically important. Growing up from kind of for my life at humble beginnings, I had people who believed in me before I believed in myself. They must have seen something. And then secondly, I had people that were willing to help develop me, that put me in situations that I could really achieve some of my personal aspirations, but really also showcase some of the great work. So for us, it's really about this mentorship, and reverse mentoring that we think is so critically important. And especially for me, as I've kind of gotten to the point in my career where I go back and say how critically important it was for me, I believe in giving back as well. No different than what we do every day at the Hershey company on sending that elevator back down and bringing people back up. So that's what's exciting about this program and the mentorship.
Can you elaborate for me the hands-on education the program will be providing?
Yes, this program is going to be a really immersive day for these young leaders. They're going to hear directly from some of our top, Hershey global executives, and they'll be talking about, just different things on real life scenarios. They'll also get to work in small groups that kind of just really push these young women to, trust their instinct, trust your gut. When the answer is no, doesn't always mean that's the right answer. So how do you overcome some of what society throws at you? So this day will be full of that. It will also be hugely, impactful, not just for these young women, but for Hershey leaders as well. We all know that as we continue to kind of journey in our careers, personal and professional, is there's always things that we can learn from so many different people. So I'm excited, right, about this very immersive day for both our Hershey leaders and especially, right, for these 10 young women that we will go and select.
How has the reception been so far since the program was announced this past October?
Yeah, this comes kind of from a history of our Celebrate She program, which started in Brazil in 2020. We've really focused on, putting she at the center and really celebrating she, all the things that she can do and she can become and she is. That program has evolved right into Celebrate She and then the She Is, and then adding this future CEO program to that as well. As we've been on this journey, is consumers, customers, and our own employee are incredibly excited. Consumers are always, talking about is how can I be involved? What can I do? Customers say the same thing. How can they take this program and be a part of it with us and amplify it? And as I mentioned earlier, our employees are such a critical part of this, not just the ones that will be a part of that very immersive day, but additionally to all of the employees that are very committed, right, to these charities, that they'll continue to be a part of it and do even more. So we've had great reception. I'm excited, right, about kind of the start of this because I think there's so much more to be had as we pioneer this first one.
What does Hershey hope to gain, or more specifically, learn about itself through the future CEO program process?
Yeah, we have an incredible company with some amazing household products. Our products are in 98% of our households. And what we know is we want to continue, right, to show up very strong and make moments of goodness for our consumers, whether that's across our confections business or our snacking business as well. But for us, is we really want to understand is how do we shape the future? And we know the way you shape it is to really listen to consumers and strive to understand what they're going through and what they're looking for. This generation that we're going to bring into the future CEO program, Gen Z, is going to be a critical audience for our brands. So just to hear about some of the interests of what they want to continue to move forward with, what's on their mind will be incredibly important for us. I know that I've been, as I said, you kind of heard me earlier, I've been so fortunate to have, a daughter in this space. She's 16, and I learned so much from her, which is exactly what we hope to do. Her lens is so global. She doesn't see her community in her backyard. She sees it across the world. She sees, how do you help somebody that doesn't even live, anywhere in your vicinity, be across the ocean, across somewhere else. So we're really excited just to kind of sit, listen, learn from this group of, potential leaders to learn more about what we can do with our brands and with our company moving forward.
Can you talk more about the value Hershey places on diversity, equity, and inclusion within the company itself?
Yeah, we are very focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, because we do believe that you can bring your entire self to work when you have the ability to feel a part of the company. And we always say this, we do have a Hershey family, and we will continue, right, to leverage our DE&I strategy to deliver on that Hershey family. Our DEI strategy is we kind of had stepped back and says, how do we continue, right, to listen to our people and understand what prospective new hires are looking for? So we created a project called the Pathways Project. And it's really got three components to it. It's about the pathways to join the company. It's about pathways to grow the company. And it's about pathways to reach out beyond the company. And when it comes to joining, it's about is how do we continue to bring in people that represent, our consumers, that our workforce looks like our consumers. So we've got targets for recruitment on bringing diverse talent in. Additionally, on working with supplier diversity, it's critically important to us that says, how do we shape our organization and then who we work with as well to make sure that we've got that diverse representation. And then secondly, on that pathways to grow, we have incredible talent, and every person in our organization is very valuable to us and extremely appreciated. But there's talent as we bring in and we continue to foster this diverse talent that we want to make sure that we are developing them even more in some of the underrepresented groups. What can we go do to continue, right, to build our talent as they move through the organization? And then reaching out, very similar to this in those two not-for-profits that I said, is our commitment back to the communities we live in and the ones that we don't as well. So how are we improving access to education for our Black and Brown students? How are we empowering, right, our business resource groups internally to support volunteerism and really continue to find ways to show up strong in our communities and beyond?
Okay, I want to wrap up by talking about how the Future CEO program plays into the DEI values that Hershey has.
Yeah, all of our pathway pillars, the three that I outlined are committed to that next generation. This future CEO really reflects the goals of our Pathways project. Whether it's, as I mentioned too, it's about joining, it's about growing, it's about reaching out. It's one more example of how we bring those to life. We're very committed to, outlining those pathways, but then making sure the audio and the visual match as we bring those to life. If I look at some things around, whether some of our leaders end up wanting to work at Hershey or walking away feel more prepared, or whenever they go on their careers, we want to make sure we share the knowledge and experience with one another, which is just a part of our DNA.
Fantastic, Marlene. This is such a great conversation. So glad you were able to join me today. And again, thank you for being on this episode of the Food for Thought podcast. For everyone listening to the Food for Thought podcast today, thank you for tuning in. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and just about everywhere you can listen to a podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we talk more about the stories behind the headlines of the food and beverage industry. Take care. Have a great day.